Magandang araw, Banateros. Eto na naman. Nandito na naman ang inyong pinakapaboritong fake news peddler sa balat na YouTube, Boss D. At your service. At pasasakitin na naman natin ng mga ulo at ay balon-balunan, puso, isip at kaluluwa ng lahat ng mga tanga, bobo, inutil, mga supot, hindi patuli, mga engot, syusyo-nga, mga kupal, animal, bisit, pabigat, walang silbi, switik, salot, putok sa buhin, dot, palamon, sintu, baliw, abnoy, sabog, batak, bangag, adik, pusher, kawatan, kurakot, magnanakaw, sindikato, membro ng kuratong baliling sa gobyerno, mga kidnapper sa gobyerno at pamahalaan, mandarambong, mangungupit sa pera ng taong bayan, lahat ng mga impakto, maligno, masasamang espiritu sa gobyerno, mga kampo ng demonyo, Satanas, Judas, Barabas, Hestas. Magandang araw mga Banateros. Mag-follow po kayo sa ating Facebook page at ating YouTube channels, lalong-lalo niyan sa Boss Space Dada Space 2.0. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pagtangkilik. Salamat po sa inyong panonood kanina. Pasensya na kayo ha. Kasi yung boses ko kanina parang pang American Idol. Sorry kasi may napindot yata ako dito sa aking monitor yung tunog ng aking mic. Maayos pero yung sa recording ko kaboses ko pala si David Pomeranz. Kaya sabi ko nako. Daming mga nagko-comment, pasensya na kayo ha. Eto na, wag na kayo mag-alala, eto na. Balik naman sa dati ang boses ni Boss D. Wag na kayo magalit. Ano ba pag-uusapan natin ngayon? Kanina naglabas yung PGMN ng isang video. Gusto ko lang reaksyonan yun kasi ang nagbigay ng report na ito ay si Attorney Rowena Guanzon Si Rowena Guanzon. Kaya gusto ko tingnan kung ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng delivery ni Rowena Guanzon at saka ni CJ Hero at saka ni Franco Mabanta. Kasi napansin ko kay CJ Hero nakafocus lang kay Martin Romualdez. Nung tiningnan ko rin yung kay Franco Mabanta, nakafocus lang din kay Martin Romualdez. Hindi talaga sila tumawid papunta sa Minjola lapit-lapit na Minjola kayo naman. Mula dyan sa Liwasang Bonifacio, ilang kembot lang nasa Minjola na kayo, nasa Malacanang na kayo. Pero bakit hindi nila nababanggit ang Malacanang? Ngayon, titingnan natin dito sa report ng ating ng future senatoriable na si Rowena Guanzon kung kamusta ba yung kanyang Hindi ko pa rin napapanood Gusto ko kasing panoorin natin sabay-sabay. Hindi ba? Tapos reaction na rin natin habang pinapanood natin kung ano ang magiging resulta nito. Hindi ba? Wag na natin patagalin. Reaction na natin kaagad. Okay ba yon? Ito na. Reaction na natin para masaya. Ayun. Ito pakinggan natin mga bossing yung report na ito ni Attorney Rowena Guanzon. Tatakbo ito ng senador sa susunod na sa coming 2028 election. Tingnan natin kung ano ang laman nitong kanyang bagong pahayag. Pasok.
How can I be the mastermind?
This is far from the image we used to see. This is an image that doesn't jive with the real Martin Romualdez, who is addicted to power.
The House is not one person. It is a collegial body made up of hundreds of members. No speaker can personally control every committee.
He handpicked Zaldico as chair of the Appropriations Committee. But every time that Zaldico made moves in the small committees, these moves were not without Martin's direction, order, and control.
I was not a part of the BICAM and the small committee budget deliberations. Records would show that I did not participate in those meetings.
Siyempre, wise siya, so that if there's any problem later, Zaldico will be the sangkalan.
My district has 0 ghost and 0 substandard flood control projects. 0. And that is verifiable.
Of course, he's not stupid. He's very, very smart.
Congress does not build flood control projects. Congress does not conduct procurement. The real corruption happens at the level of execution of the General Appropriations Act.
This scheme of getting kickbacks from ghost flood control projects and substandard projects were designed by Martin Romualdez as the mastermind from the start when they were preparing the budget in the House of Representatives. Not after, during the implementation, but when they were preparing or before they even prepared the budget. Even before the NEP was sent to the House of Representatives, nandyan na rin yung patong ng 30% na kickback ng mga congressman.
I know many things about this current administration and past administrations as well. I will not go quietly and I will not go alone.
Dito ka magtataka kasi naman ano. Nakakapagtaka naman kasi. Nagsalita na ito, tapos hindi na nasundan. Dito sa kanyang pagsasalita, tinakot niya si Boying Rimulya. Tapos si Boying Rimulya, natakot naman. Oo, kasi, Diyos ko naman, nauna pang nakasuhan si Jinggoy Estrada kaysa dito sa kupal na ito. Kasi dapat ang mga nakakasuhan, yung mga most guilty. Tama? Kasi si Bonoan, si Bernardo, si Alcantara, sila man ang mastermind dito sa Congress. Sila ang sa Congress tuloy diyan sa DPWH. Sila ang mastermind ng corruption scheme diyan sa Congress. Ngayon, katulad din ng lagi kong kinukwento sa inyo, yang corruption diyan sa DPWH, nandiyan na yan noon pa. Naka-embed na yan sa system at proseso nila. Depende na lang sa mga mambabatas at saka sa Malacanang kung i-activate nila yung naka-embed na scheme ng corruption dito sa DPWH. Kasi kung matatandaan ninyo, noong panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, alam niya na pinaka-corrupt na ahensya ng gobyerno itong DPWH as ahensya na under ng executive, yung DPWH. Ngayon, may sistema na yan sila. Yung sistema nila dyan, batas na yan eh. Matagal na yan. Bago pa si Duterte, mga previous administrations pa, kung papaano yung sistema ng DPWH, nandoon na yun. Kung hindi corrupt ang isang leader, itong DPWH na ito, hindi to magnanakaw. Or siguro, makakagawa pa rin sila ng paraan para kumita sila ng pera. Pero mga bossing, hindi sila gumagawa ng mga ghost projects katulad ngayon. Kasi di ba sinabi ko nga sa inyo noon, na gumagawa sila ng proyekto, ino-overprice lang nila. Ino-overprice nila. Ganun lang mangurap dati. 1 billion yung proyekto, gagawin nilang 2 billion. Tapos yung ipinatong nila na overprice na yan, maghahati-hati sila lahat. Gagawin pa rin yung proyekto, yung halagang 1 billion, parehas pa rin naman yung plano, parehas pa rin yung materialis na gagamitin, tapos magagawa yung proyekto na yon. Ngayon, sobra nga lang yung presyo na binayaran ng gobyerno para doon sa proyekto na yun. Pero gawa yung proyekto. Nagkaroon ng kickback, nagkaroon ng corruption, pero gawa yung proyekto. Ang problema ngayon, hindi ganun. Ngayon, yung proyekto, ninakaw nila kung ganun pa rin ang ginawa nila. Halimbawa, isang tulay, 1 billion lang halaga ng tulay, taas 2 billion yung pina-approve nila na budget. Dati, yung 1 billion lang yung paghahati-hatian nila. Ngayon, hindi. Sobrang garapal. Sobrang garapal talaga mga bossing. Ang ginawa nila, pati yung budget para sa mismong tulay. Kinuha nila. Pinaghati-hatian nila yun. Tapos, tinusukan lang nila ng mga ilang bakal, inilagay sa lugar kung saan hindi na masisilip ng taong bayan. Ghost project. Yun ang pinakamasaklap. Ninakaw yung buo. Dati, ino-overprice lang. Kaya, nung panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, matatandaan ninyo, gumawa siya ng isang polisiya sa kanyang gobyerno para i-counter yung naka-embed. Alam mo yun, yung naka-embed na corruption dyan sa DPWH. Hindi ang bidding noon, hindi na dun sa pamurahan. Hindi na doon sa pamurahan. Talagang lahat ng mga biddings noon, tinitingnan isa-isa yung materyales, sino ang kontrakto, ano yung klase ng proyekto. Kasi dati dyan sa DPWH, automatic na eh. Tapos nagtayo nga siya ng Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission, PACC, headed by Greco Bellica para magbantay dito sa DPWH na ito. At mapigilan yung overpricing ng mga proyekto. Overpricing ang pinipigilan nila noon. Ngayon, matindi. Overpriced na, pati yung presyo noong proyekto ninakaw pa. Totally ghost project, mga bossing. Nangyari yan ngayong administrasyon lang under the leadership of Bongbong Marcos and the leadership of Romualdez sa Congress. Sabi ko nga, ganito nangyari, ganito ang pwedeng nangyari dyan. Ako si DPWH, magdanakaw ako. Nung panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, gustuhin ko man i-offer kay Pangulong Duterte yung corruption dito na illegitimize niya by means of signing GAA. Anong ginawa ni Pangulong Duterte? Di ba meron siyang isang GAA na hindi sinign dahil sa veto powers niya na gano'n lang tayo. Yung tawag dito, anong tawag na pala doon? Yung budget, reenacted yung budget. Kasi nga nakita niya na sobrang corrupt nung ipinasang budget ng, Kongreso at ng Senado. So nagkaroon tayo ng reenacted budget noon. Yun yung iniwasan nila. Supposedly, reenacted yung budget for 2026. Hindi. Reenacted yung budget for 2025. Supposedly, reenacted yung budget. Pero hindi. Ni-railroad nila yon, pinirmahan nila. Tapos lumabas nga itong sandamukal na mga corruption na ito. Hindi ko may offer kay Pangulong Duterte yun. Kasi hindi magnanakaw si Duterte. The moment na in-offer ko yun sa kanya, huli ako. Para ako nagdadrive na ganyan. Tapos, nahuli ako ng isang traffic enforcer. Instead na lisensya yung binigay ko, pera o inipitan ko ng pera yung lisensya ko, tapos imbis na makabuti, nakasama pa. Matino yung nanghuli ng violation mo. Nakita niya may pera doon. Sabi niya, ano to? Violation o dagdag sa kaso mo to. Bribery. Bribery, tapos yung violation mo pa. So, alam nila na matino si Pangulong Duterte. So, yung scheme naka-embed na corruption diyan sa DPWH, hindi nila yan tinuloy nung panahon ni Pangulong Duterte. So, natulog yan. Nagantay sila ng tamang panahon para magkaroon ng isang leader ng bayang Pilipinas na magnanakaw pa sa kawatan. Na pinsan ni Lupin III. Na tatay ni Lupin. Pinsan na tatay pa. Ganon katinding magnanakaw. So nung nakita nila yung opportunity na, kawatan to. Ang tatay nito magnanakaw, ang nanay nito magnanakaw, ang dugo nito magnanakaw. So ang gawin natin ngayon, i-offer natin yung ating sindikato dito sa DPWH. Ayan, yung magpinsan, siya naglakihan yung kanilang mga pera sa bangko. Ito, tumaas ng 3 bilyon. Yung pera nito, as in 3 bilyon tumaas. Tapos si Bongbong Marcos ganun din, tumaas din yung kanyang assets. Yung kanyang net worth tumaas din. Yun na yun. Depende yan. The corruption is in DPWH. It's been there for the longest time. It's part of the system. Pero it depends sa leadership, Senado, Kongreso, at saka Presidente kung papabayaan nila na magnakaw itong mga taga DPWH. Di ba? Ganun na nangyari ngayon dahil nakita nila, kawatan yan, in-offer nila, kinagat, yun, happy sila lahat. Ang masama nun, sobrang ganid. Imbis na sana, in-overprice lang yung proyekto para naman may napapakinabangan tayo infrastruktura, pati yung proyekto, pati yung pera para sa mismong infrastruktura na itatayo, ninakaw nila. Ganun sila kakawatan, mga bossing. Antindi, di ba? Walang mga hiya. Diretso natin.
I will not be the fall guy for other people's corruption.
And I think this is what irked Ombudsman Boying Rimulya some more. I mean, all the more, he is going to throw the books at him. He says, I will not go alone.
Martin Romualdez.
Martin Romualdez.
Martin Romualdez.
Martin Romualdez.
Speaker Romualdez.
Speaker Romualdez.
Martin Romualdez.
I'm not going to be a scapegoat. I will take you with me.
Diba? Sinabi niya, Martin Romualdez. Putang ina, walang pangkasong Martin Romualdez. Para pasakayin tayo, anong ginagawa nila kay Martin Romualdez? Inaano nila? Mayroong hold departure order. Tapos, bukod sa hold departure order, sinanction pa siya ng Amerika, kunyari. So, parang kunyari, inaatake itong si Martin Romualdez. Pero sa totoo lang, putangin yan, kahit man hindi mo paalisin yan ng bansa, ang sarap ng buhay niya sa mansyon niya. Alam niyo ba ilan ang bahay niya sa Forbes Park? Di umano, meron daw 11 na bahay yan dyan sa Forbes Park. Putangin na yan. Yung magkaroon ka lang ng isang bahay dyan sa exclusive na village subdivision na yan, magkaroon ka lang ng isang nuknukang ka na ng yaman. Isang bahay lang putangin na. Nagkaroon siya ng sandamukal na bahay. 10, 11, 12 na bahay. Alam nyo ba kung magkano lupa dyan sa Forbes Park na yan? Lupa lang dyan, daan-daang milyon halaga niyan. May bali-balita nga nung nakaraan na si Lagdameo Yung mismong bahay lang na pinagagawa niya, bahay lang 1 bilyon daw yung halaga, bahay lang. Oh, yun lupa pa. So, ganun kahirap, ganun katindi ang dami ng pera mo para makatira ka dyan. Po, tragis yan. 11 bahay niya dyan. Oh, hindi yan sinisilip ng hindi yan sinisilip ng pamahalaan, hindi sinisilip ng ombudsman, hindi sinisilip ng Congress yan. Tapos ang sinisilip nila na nakaw na yaman o ang natagong yaman daw, ang sinisilip nila si Inday Sara na na lumaki lang yung kanyang net worth ng halos 20 years. Yung net worth pa na itinaas niya, wala pang 100 milyon, wala pang 50 milyones eh. Tapos yun ang pinagpapaliwanag nila. Ito si Martin Romualdez, din na pinagpapaliwanag tungkol sa dami ng ng kayamanan niya. Tapos, di ba? Meron pa siyang sariling nabili niya yata yung yung part ng ABS-CBN, parang nabili niya pa. Di ba? Hindi kayo nagtataka. Tapos hindi nakakasuhan, hindi pa nakakulong, nakalaya. Ang sarap ng buhay niyan. Kung i-hold departure order mo yan, okay lang. Putang ina, sarap ng ganda ng bahay. Ganda ng bahay, kumpleto lahat. Kita nyo nga, amoy pera daw yung bahay niyan, sabi ni Saldico. Amoy pera na yung bahay nila dahil mali-maleta, sandamukal, drum-drum na maleta, truck-truck na maleta yung dinadala dyan. Oh, hold departure order. Freeze daw yung kanyang assets. Freeze yung kanyang assets? Po, tragis siya. Naniniwala kayo na freeze yung kanyang assets? Nasaan ang patunay na freeze yung assets? Nakita nyo? Ang yaman pa din nila mag-asawa. Paano freeze yung assets nila na legal, na nakadeclare? Paano yung hindi nakadeclare? Di naman nakadeclare yung mali-malitang pera. Di naman nakadeclare yung trilyon-trilyon na ninakaw nila. Kaya dito mo talaga makikita itong kunyari nangyayari kay Romualdez na to. Wala ito. Style lang to, bulok. Style bulok.
Yan ang ibig sabihin.
Meet attorney Rowena Bing Guanzon, a top 10 graduate of UP College of Law. The powerful
Oh, how the mighty has fallen. Who is Martin Romualdez? What is he? If we look back at his background, how did he become to be so powerful under the presidency of his first cousin, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.? Let's go back to his background. He was educated in Cornell, where he got a certificate, probably the equivalent of an undergrad, and entered the UP College of Law and graduated from the College of Law in 1993. Let's not forget that in 1986, his father, Benjamin Cocoy Romualdez, who was the favorite brother of Imelda Romualdez Marcos, had to flee the country for fear of reprisal from a new government of President Cory Aquino after the People Power Movement. So in 1993, he graduated from the UP College of Law, and little is known whether he practiced law or not, and little is known what businesses he had. But since 1986, the Presidential Commission on Good Government sequestered several of the properties of his father, Benjamin Cocoy Romualdez. Unfortunately, many of these cases were dismissed later or were settled, such that when they returned to the Philippines, Cocoy Romualdez was able to reacquire the properties that were sequestered. Little is known also whether Martin Romualdez inherited those companies. But for himself, he must have been worth hundreds of millions of pesos and owns Prime Media. He also has interest in Benguet Mining. His brother, Jose Paras, is the president of Golden Pheasant, which is a realty company, but quite obviously connected to him or as his alter ego, because Paras on his own, with only 18 million in assets, could not afford to purchase this property later in question, which is the house in Tamarind Street in Forbes, that's used to be owned by Magsaysay Ho. This is the same house, later we will discuss, that where Saldico stated that as a contractor, he was instructed to renovate that house. And he was identified by the household helpers of the occupant at the time. Martin Romualdez first became congressman in 2017 when he was elected representative of his district in Leyte. And he served 3 terms or 9 years.
Darating ang araw kung saan ang ating mga pangarap magiging katotohanan. Basta may malasakit, lahat kayang makamit.
In 2015, he ran for senator
Nagaganap po ako, kaya pinay ko na itong COC para sa senador. At gusto ko magsilbi, magpakita din ng malakasan, hindi lang po sa Tacloban, hindi lang sa Leyte, hindi lang sa Region 8, pero sa buong Pilipinas.
And was seen to be supporting Rodrigo Duterte in 2016. At the time when he ran for senator, his wife Yeda Romualdez took over his seat as district representative. He lost for senator, cooled his heels, and then returned to Congress as the district representative, while his wife was representative of their conjugal party list called Tingog. Now, Martin Romualdez was just another rich man, just another Romualdez, until Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos won the presidency and took power. Now, remember, when Bongbong ran for vice president against Leni Robredo, he lost by more than 200,000 votes. And so for 3 years, we haven't heard whatever happened to him. But we also did not hear what happened to Martin Romualdez. Martin Romualdez became Speaker of the House when BBM became president. The connection is not a surprise because he's first cousin. If you look at the series of events and how Martin Romualdez controlled the House and controlled the congressmen, he was actually building an empire of his own, separate from his first cousin. He was obviously designing his own house where his trusted lieutenants will be the sitting congressmen and their heirs, so that in 2028, he would be the likely candidate of the administration for president. And that's the motivation and that's the goal.
Doon tayo bumagsak. Doon tayo nagsimulang bumagsak, mga bossing. Oo. Kasi natatandaan niyo yung kwento ni Inday Sara. Maganda tong simula ni Attorney Guanzon, future Senator Guanzon, Maganda yung simula niya kasi pinakilala niya kung sino si Martin Romualdez. He is rich. Oo, pero sigurado tayo na naging mayaman lang ang mga ito dahil sa mga kayamanan na ninakaw din ng mga Marcos sa atin. Tandaan nyo sino ba si Imelda Marcos? Sino ba si Imelda Marcos? Si Imelda Marcos ay isa lamang, hindi man siya abogado, hindi man siya, lang siya? Yung beauty queen lang, di ba? Yung nagpa-pageant. Di ba? Nagpa-pageant siya, tapos nakita siya ni Marcos Sr. Tapos na-inlove na si Marcos Sr. sa kanya. Nung na-inlove na si Marcos Sr. sa kanya, ayun na, naging mag-asawa na sila. Tapos biglang naging sobrang elegante, naging parang royalty sila dito sa Pilipinas. Sa loob ba naman ng 20 taon mahigit silang nagano rito. Mayaman ng Pilipinas dati, 1:1 ang peso. Malakas ang mayaman ng Pilipinas noon. Numero 1 tayo dito sa Southeast Asia noong mga panahon na yan. Ngayon, maraming korupsyon ang mga Marcos. Tapos yung mga Marcos, nilalagay nila yung kanilang pera saan? Sa mga cronies nila. Nilalagay nila sa mga pangalan ng ibang tao. Sila ang naka-imbento talaga ng korupsyon sa Pilipinas. Kasi yung mga presidente naman before them, hindi talaga kasi panahon ng Hapon, di ba? So kumbaga nagre-rebuild pa lang ang bayang Pilipinas noon. Naging presidente si Ferdinand Marcos Sr. dahil nga doon sa tagal ng panahon na nandito siya, na siya ang humahawak ng Pilipinas. Na-master niya kung paano nakawin yung bayang Pilipinas. Unang termino, nagtrabaho, pangalawang termino, pero yung mga sumunod na succeeding terms na, ayun na, biglang na nagiging demonyo. Nag-evolve na sila from maliit na demonyo to napakahalaking higanteng demonyo. Ganun yung mga Marcos. So, nila, kung meron talagang utak ng corruption sa Pilipinas, ayan yun. Si Marcos Sr. talaga ang utak ng corruption dito sa Pilipinas. Na-master niya yun. At may mga estudyante yan. Sino yung estudyante niyan? Siyempre, unang-una, siyempre yung anak niya. Yan ang unang-unang estudyante niya. May papasa niya yung bertud, yung anting-anting ng kamag na nakawan. Siyempre, kanino? Alang sa kapitbahay nila. Siyempre, sa kalahi niya na. Di umano, yung tatay niya, nilalagyan ng pera ng Marcos para hindi sumobra ng dami nung kanilang yaman. Ma-obvious naman masyado. So, kinalat nila yung yaman nila, yung mga ninakaw nila sa Pilipinas, nilagay nila sa mga kaibigan nila, kamag-anak, ganyan. At ayan, yung tatay. Yung tatay niya, kaya nga tumakas yung tatay niya kasi sa takot na baka balikan sila ni Cory Aquino. Tapos sinequester nga yung mga ari-arian. So, given, bumalik, nabawi. Itong si Martin Romualdez, maaring mayaman sila. Maaring yumaman na sila, pero hindi sila bilyonaryo. At kung sakali man na yumaman sila at mayaman sila, alam natin kung saan galing yung yaman nila. Sa nakaw yan. Tama? Oh, sige, yun yung sinasabi ni yung sinasabi dito ni Rowena Guanzon.
Martin Romualdez, and the reason why he was very active in making sure that the budget for the ayuda, the AX, the TUPAD, was in billions of pesos during his term and controlled by his congressmen to make sure that the voters would be beholden to him and their congressmen.
Kaya may AX dahil ni Speaker. Kaya may AKAP dahil ni Speaker. Kaya may
Yung babae to parang ang bantot, no? Yung babae na to nalilimahid. Ang yaman-yaman. Naku ako siguro ganyang kayaman. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, maitim man ako. Pero lagi kong mabango. Tsaka pag nakita mo naman ako, amoy mukhang mabango naman ako. Ito ang yaman nito. Ang daming pera niyan. Pero pag tinignan mo yung itsura, no? Yun talagang kasalanan na yan eh. Alam mo, sabi ko nga, with all the science, beauty products, sa mga galing na doktor para mapaganda ka. Yung pangit na papaganda na ngayon. Tsang ina, sobrang damot mo naman sa pera mo. Andayin mo ng pera, ang pangit mo pa rin, ang mukha ka pang mabantot. Tangina, kala mo pinaglihi sa mantika ito, naglilimahid, no? Walang hiyang babae na ito.
tupad dahil ni Speaker. Kaya may mga
Imagine niyo, ano amoy ng mic na yan? Ang bango ng mic ko. Imagine niyo yung mic niyan, anong amoy? Ganyan itsura nung nagsasalita. Putang ina, amoy gingivitis yan. Pustahan tayo. Singhutin niyo yan, gagaling lahat ng mga sakit ng ulo ninyo at kasukasuan.
barangay road dahil ni Speaker. Kaya may patubig dahil ni Speaker. At kaya may groundbreaking ngayon dahil ni Speaker.
But after 2025, the start of the fall of Martin Romualdez was unexpected. The flood control ghost projects were discovered. Substandard projects were discovered. Whether we give President Marcos credit or not, he did assign Secretary Vince Dizon to investigate, and as a result, although it took him quite a while, referred or endorsed his facts or report to the Ombudsman. And before this happened, the pressure on the administration was so strong that Martin Romualdez had to resign as Speaker of the House.
Ang ating mga kababayan ay naghahangad ng linaw at higit sa lahat ng tiwala. Tungkulin natin ito'y may balik. The longer I stay, the heavier
Inataw na to parang mongoloid, no? Ang ina niya Pilipino, pag nagtagalog parang ingot. Yung pinsa naman niya, tunay-tuleladang pansit ang pinagsasasabi. Hayop tong magpinsan na to. Hindi ko alam kung lahi ng mga tanga ito o sunog na, tostado na yung mga utak nito, kakasinghot ng mga kung ano-ano. Parang baliw. Parang grade 1 magsalita. Walang yan. Tagalog na binabasa na. Kala mo, Amerikanong Judas eh. Marunong magtagalog. Ang ina niyan.
that burden grows on me, on this House, and on the President I've always sought to support. And so, after deep reflection and prayer, I have made a decision today with a full heart and a clear conscience. I tender my resignation as Speaker of the House of Representatives.
When he was Speaker of the House, he handpicked Zaldico, a contractor who is the representative of Ako Bicol party list for many years. He handpicked Zaldico as chair of the Appropriations Committee and by so doing, controlled the many party list representatives in the House aside from the district representatives. And Zaldico, being a trusted lieutenant of Martin Romualdez, eventually got the job done. In fact, he was so successful that notwithstanding a deficit, the unprogrammed funds in 2023 to 2024 was around 247 billion. And from that amount, they released more than 100 billion in infrastructure, specifically flood control projects, which eventually were discovered to be ghost projects or non-existent or substandard. And these funds became the source of kickbacks, which Zaldico later disclosed how he, upon the instruction of Martin Romualdez, padded the budget, made sure that the insertions and other instructions were done in the small committee or bicameral conference, and made sure that the kickbacks were delivered by him personally. Of course, using his bodyguards, the 18 former Marines who gave notarized statements that they performed several deliveries in suitcases, maraming maleta na hinatid nila sa bahay ni Martin Romualdez sa McKinley Street. At lahat ng ito nangyari nung hindi na si Martin Romualdez ang speaker. He was already out of power when the 18 Marines came out. But there was one Marine who first came out after Zaldico fled the country, and his name was Gutesa.
Tuwing may duty detail ako sa basura, pumupunta kami sa 28 Ladybug Corner, Dragonfly, Valle Verde 6, Pasig City. Tagabuhat lang ako ng malita ng basura. Ang ibig sabihin ng basura ay malita na may lamang pera.
Now, Gutesa is very important because it was his statement in the Blue Ribbon Committee that the Ombudsman used in the complaint for plunder, graft, indirect bribery, and money laundering against Martin Romualdez. Now, remember that Ombudsman Boying Rimulya and Martin Romualdez are fraternity brothers in Upsilon Sigma Phi. And so, at first, I said, I doubt it very much because of their ties of loyalty. But something must have happened. And that something will probably reveal itself to us in the next few weeks. Something must have happened that Ombudsman Rimulya all of a sudden announced that the plunder case will be filed against Martin Romualdez in the coming weeks. Martin, who has long been invisible until he showed up in the House of Representatives to receive the ovation of his colleagues in the majority, and was in fact in and out, but often absent in the House of Representatives until he came out in a videotape statement a few days ago. And his statement is shocking to those who thought Rimulya would never file a plunder charge against Martin Romualdez, his fraternity brother. Then let's listen to Martin's videotape statement where he says, I'm not going to be a scapegoat. He says, I will not go alone. And he says, I'm not the mastermind. I'm not the mastermind. All of these projects were executed by the executive department.
I did not hide. I did not run. I did not evade scrutiny. I faced it head on within the proper channel because I know there is no evidence that proves I committed plunder, conspiracy to commit plunder, or any similar offense that the Ombudsman may be contemplating against me. And because I have nothing to hide, I am today authorizing the immediate public release of the affidavit I submitted, together with all supporting information so that the Filipino people can judge for themselves who has been transparent and who is simply being politically targeted. Now let us address the most absurd accusation of all, that I am supposedly the mastermind of this corruption scheme. How can I be the mastermind? I was the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, but the House of Representatives is only one part of the branch of government, the legislature. I want to make this simple and clear. The national budget does not depend on just one person. The budget does not begin in the House. It begins in the executive. The agencies and
Ito, tinan nyo. Sinabi niya dito, it begins in the executive. Sinabi niya dito na, I am not the mastermind. If hindi siya mastermind, sino? Zaldico? Boss na si Zaldico, ganun. Dahil si Zaldico na lang nagpresidente. Yeah, Zaldico na lang nag-Speaker of the House. Bakit siya pa? Bakit ikaw pa? So sinabi niya executive. Napapansin ninyo. Kapag si Amy Marcos ang nagsasalita, dinudurog masyado nito ni Claire Castro. Kapag si Inday nagsasalita, talagang overprotective ito si Claire Castro. Pero bakit nung si Romualdez na nagsalita about the executive, ang tanging depensa lang ni Claire Castro is, hindi ibig sabihin executive, presidente lang yan. Ang executive, marami yan, malaki yan, oo. So wag nating isisi sa isang tao lang. Ang executive is executive, tapos marami yan mga sub committee ganyan. Hindi, maraming departments yan. Department of Education, di ba? Department of Agrarian Reform, Department of Public Works and Highways, tapos Department of Budget and Management. So, yan yung sinasabi ni Claire Castro. Ganun lang niya dinipensahan. Hindi niya binanatan si Romualdez, hindi niya binaboy si Romualdez, hindi niya sinabi si Romualdez na ikaw ang tinuturo ng tao, ikaw ang tinuturo ng kaso, ipagtanggol mo yung sarili mo. Ganun. Harapin mo na lang yung mga kaso mo. Wala silang ganung sinasabi. So doon pa lang malalaman mo na eh. Doon pa lang makikita mo na talagang may something itong magpinsan na ito. Itong ginagawa nila na yan. Kunyari ito nagagalit, nagsasalita na ganyan. Pautot lang nila yan, palabas lang nila yan. Para kunyari, nagkakaroon na sila ng problema. Pero sa totoo lang, nagtatrayduran naman na talaga yung mga yan. Pero ito, ano pa rin nila yan, pinagplanuhan pa rin nila yan. Kasi alam na ng Malacanang kung ano isasagot niya kagad dito sa sa sinabi dito ni Romualdez, pero pagkalinaw-linaw nito, 'di ba? Hindi ako mastermind at hindi ako ang may hawak ng budget, kundi executive ang may hawak. Bakit? Kami magpapasa, pag-uusapan ng Senado, tapos ibibigay sa kanya. Ang presidente ay may kapangyarihan para yung budget na binigay mo sa kanya, i-ekis niya. At ibalik sa amin kung may problema. But the fact na pinirmahan niya yun, ibig sabihin siya yung may authority, may final say patungkol doon sa budget na yun. At kung pinirmahan niya yun, ibig sabihin aprobado niya yun. Kung aprobado niya yun, ibig sabihin alam niya na kung ano yung mga kukubrahin nila doon. Nautusan lang niya itong mga ito na gumawa ng corruption, pero siya pa rin na mag-a-approve ng corruption, syempre, meron din siyang kickback doon. Ganun yun. Kita ninyo, nakasuhan na ba to? Hindi pa. Nakulong na ba to? Hindi pa. Ilang buhay ito. Ilang buwan na simula nung nagsalita itong ulol na ito. Hanggang ngayon, si Boying Rimulya, inuna pa si Jinggoy. Nauna pa si Jinggoy. Si Jinggoy, sinabi na nga nung mga nagsalita dyan sa Senado na magnanakaw sa DPWH, hindi nila kilala si Jinggoy. Hindi sila nag-abot ng pera kay Jinggoy, pero nauna pa si Jinggoy. Samantalang, sinasabi nila si Zaldicong may kasalanan, yung mga alagad ni Zaldico ang tinuturo, ito si Martin Romualdez at sandamukal na mga congressman, pero wala pang congressman na nakukulong. Tatandaan niyo yung sinasabi ko. Na noong panahon ni Marcos Sr., kinandado niya ang Congress at ang Senate. Tapos, ibinalik niya, Congress lang, yung Senate hindi. Kasi, kontrolado nila yung Congress. Kontrolado nila yung Congress kasi nga, ang Congress, distrito man lang yan. Wala silang pakialam kung masira sila sa ibang distrito, basta sa distrito nila mabango sila. Kung mabango sila sa distrito nila, paano sila magpapabango sa distrito nila? Gagawa lang sila ng gagawa ng mga proyekto. Sino mag-approve ng mga proyekto nila? Executive at saka yung DPWH, tama? Itong mga senador, ang constituencies nito, isang buong bansa, malakas itong mga ito sa election at saka sa popularity. Itong mga Congress, they're not after popularity. Kailangan nilang kumilos nang kahit na magalit ang buong sambayanan, basta mananalo lang sila sa distrito nila, hindi sila matatanggal sa posisyon. Ganun yun. Kaya mas lamang sa alamang na yung Congress at saka itong presidente, meron talagang approved na sindikato. Yung Senado, mangilan-ngilan, pero hindi nila kayang makontrol ang Senado dahil nga yung Senado, pinapangalagaan nila yung kanilang image. Ganun yun. Nagigets nyo? Kaya nga, sigurado ako na si Bongbong at saka itong magpinsan na to, riding in tandem yan. Kasi kung ang pera nanggagaling sa Senado, naglagay sana siya ng kamag-anak niya dyan sa Senado bilang Senate President. Pero hindi. At saka, ang Senate President, madaling palitan. Katulad nga nito, nangyari kala Chis Escudero, di ba? Asuman nila yan noon, pero napalitan din agad. Bakit? Kasi nga, doon sa impeachment IBP Sara, nilagay nila yung matandang aso nila, pinakamatandang aso nila si Tito Soto. So, madaling maagaw ang Senado. Versus dito sa Congress, mahirap. Bakit? Kasi hawak mo sila sa liig dahil nga, para manalo sila dun sa katiting na na distrito nila, kailangan nila ng proyekto. Pag sinakal mo yan, hindi mo na yan binigyan ng budget. Hindi na yan nakapagproyekto sa kanyang distrito. Tapos na siya kagad sa constituency niya, mananalo na kagad yung susunod na kakandidato dahil wala siyang silbi. Ganun yun, kaya hawak nila sa liig yung mga congressman. Nagigets nyo? Diretso natin to.
Departments prepare their proposals. The executive consolidates them into the National Expenditure Program. And that program is then submitted to Congress. From there, the House deliberates, but the House is not one person, and it is certainly not the Speaker alone. It is a collegial body made up of hundreds of members, multiple committees, vice chairs, and institutional processes. In fact, there are around 85 committees, each with its own jurisdiction, leadership, and members. No speaker can personally control every committee, much less direct the actions of other branches or government agencies.
Martin Romualdez is telling us that he's just the speaker. And no speaker can actually control all these committees. But this is far from the image we used to see and from what congressmen say or said about him. This is an image that doesn't jive with the real Martin Romualdez, who is addicted to power and control. So if he says, I'm just the speaker, I did not create that budget just by myself. It went through several committees, he said. And as the speaker, there is no way I could have controlled all of these congressmen, which is totally not true. Because if you remember the first impeachment complaint against Vice President Sara, it could not have happened. So, if Martin Romualdez did not have that kind of control and grip over his congressmen and congresswomen. Remember that the speaker has the power to release or to hold all these project funds of the congressman, district, or party list. He's so powerful because he's not only speaker, he's the first cousin of the president. So the image that he's trying to tell us that, I'm just a speaker. I cannot possibly be responsible for this alone. And this is when you will see na gagawin niyang sangkalan si Saldico, which is why Saldico had to resign. Remember? Saldico had to resign from the Appropriations Committee before Martin Romualdez resigned as Speaker.
And in the Appropriations Committee itself, there are already more than 100 members, with many vice chairs, and Representative Toby Tiangco, who has been very vocal and upfront on this issue over the past months, was himself a vice chair of the Appropriations Committee in the previous Congress. So I have to ask, if there were real concerns about irregularities in the budget process, why were these not formally raised during the deliberations, or even during the plenary? The budget deliberation does not stop in the House. The Senate also conducts its own deliberations, reviews its own version, and plays its own role in shaping the final budget, and it is not a bystander. It is an active constitutional participant in this process. After that, the House and the Senate reconcile their versions in the bicameral conference committee. Only then is the final bill transmitted to the President for approval or veto. So let us be honest about what becomes law. The national budget is not the act of one person or one chamber. It is a product of a constitutional chain involving the executive, the House, and the Senate. This is something I want the public to understand. The budget process is collective, multi-layered, and shared. Accountability must apply to everyone involved, not selectively assigned after the fact.
Martin is saying that he is not the mastermind. And if he's going to be prosecuted for it, all who are involved should be prosecuted. And then he's telling us that there are so many chairs of committees in the House. And they all worked on that budget that was approved by the House and forwarded to the small committee in the Senate and the bicameral conference. But again, he misleads us because this is not the Martin Romualdez that people see in public, in the House, in the way the congressmen kowtow to him. They practically look at him as a god, hopefully with a small letter G. So he portrays himself as a minor player in the preparation of the budget. In fact, Martin says, I was not present in the small committee. True, he was not present because he sent Zaldico there. Siyempre, wise siya. So that if there's any, problem later,
Maganda yun yung sinabi dito ni Guanzon wais si Romualdez for hiring itong si Zaldico, which is engot-engot mo. Kita mo naman si Zaldico. Mukha talaga siyang malambot Nakita niyo naman si Zaldico, mukha talaga siyang tatanga-tanga, hindi ba? So pag tanga-tanga, sabi ko nga sa inyo, mahilig silang kukuha ng mga tao na tatanga-tanga kasi pag tanga, inutusan mo yan, gagawin lang niya. Para lang mapasaya kanya dahil gusto kanyang maging kaibigan, kahit gagawin yan. Kasi tanga yan hindi ba? Nakita nyo si Claire Castro. Sa kagustuhan niya ng posisyon na yun. Dati man lang siyang walang kliyenteng lawyer, tapos vlogger, tapos bigla siyang ginawang undersecretary. Sa kagustuhan niya na mga natili dyan dahil nga fame whore yung babae na yan. Nilagay siya dyan. Bakit siya nilagay dyan? Matalino ba siya? Magaling ba siya mag-English? Hindi. Sino ba mga dating mga nakalagay dyan? Di ba? Sila Trixie Cruz Angeles. Ang uhusay ng mga inilagay dyan. Ng mga dating mga spokesperson, Sal Panelo, sila Harry Roque. Ang tatalino niyan, bakit ka naglagay ng barok mag-English na USEC dyan sa PCO? Bakit? Kasi nga, pag bobo, pag tanga, kahit mali yung iutos mo, gagawin yan. Kasi nga, bobo at tanga yan. Ganun niya. So, naglalagay, di ba sinabi ko rin sa inyo, mahilig maglagay si Bongbong ng mga tanga, na mga secretary. Para Para pagka sumablay, sisisihin lang niya. Ganun. Kaya nga sabi ko nga, bagamat mabopol magparalakad ng pamahalaan ito si Bongbong, matalino to pagdating sa pananagutan. Matalino ito pagdating sa pag-iwas sa pananagutan. Kaya ang ginagawa niya, naglalagay siya ng mga tao na mga tatanga-tanga na tuturuan niya o uutusan nila na gumawa ng mga bagay na pantanga, gagawin naman dahil tanga. O tapos, pagka sumablay, sasabihin niya, wala akong alam, kasalanan niya yan. Tanga yun. Hindi niya rin kayang ipagtanggol yung sarili niya kasi tanga siya, di ba? O, sino? Diyan sa Senado, sinong ilalagay nila diyan na Senate President? Tanga rin. Sino? Si Gatchalian. Ayaw niyang magkaroon ng hearing tungkol sa flood control. Bakit? Kasi lagi binabaha sa kanila sa Valenzuela. Naglagay ba sila ng magaling na pumalit kay Tito Soto? Hindi. Naglagay sila ng puppet. Pag tanga nga kasi pwede mong gawing puppet. Ba't hindi mo nilagay si Ping Lacson? Ba't hindi mo nilagay si sino ba magaling? Wala magaling kasi doon. O si si Pangilinan, ba't di mo nilagay? Nilagay nila doon si Win Gatchalian kasi si Win Gatchalian muntik nang maging mongoloid. Oo, bugok man yan. So sobrang bugok man yan, niwanan ng jowa yan. Pero nilagay siya doon para utos-utosan. Kita mo kung hindi ka ba naman tanga, hindi ikaw ang Senate President, pero umaasta ka na Senate President. Sinong sisisihin mo? Yung mga kasamahan mo na naglagay sa'yo dyan? Ikaw ang mananagot sa batas kapag ka nalaman na, o pag napatunayan na yung ginawa nyo dyan sa Senado, katarantaduhan. Ikaw, kasi ikaw yung tumayo para doon sa katarantaduhang pag-aagaw nila ng pag-aagaw nyo ng kapangyarihan dyan sa Senado so dahil engot siya, hindi niya alam na napakadelikado nung ginagawa niya. Kasi paglabag sa batas yun, pag lumabag ka sa batas bilang isang government official, meron kang matinding kaparusahan diyan. Naglagay siya ng tanga. Ganun din si Martin Romualdez, naglagay din ng tanga na na pwede niyang utusan na parang aso. Noong nagkabistuhan, anong sabi niya? Wala naman ako sa small committee. Si Zaldico nandun. Si Chis Escudero nandun. Hindi ba? So para hindi sila masisi, kita mo si Bongbong ngayon, pagka sinisisi mo anong sagot nila. Hindi niya kasalanan yan. Hindi lang naman siya ang executive. Hindi niya kasalanan yan. Kasalanan ng DPWH yan. Hindi niya kasalanan yan. Kasalanan ng ganda rin. Magaling sila umiwas. Bakit? Kasi nga yung krimen, hindi sila mismo ang gumagawa para hindi sila ang agad-agad na maituturo as mastermind. Pero ang hindi nila naiintindihan is matalino ng tao, may mga pirma sila doon sa korupsyon na yun dahil inapprove nila yun. So, ganun ang ginawa nila dito mga bossing. Nakikita nyo yung pattern nitong magpinsan, parehas sila dalawa yan na nagplano Parehas sila ng ginagawa, puro bugok yung mga inilalagay nila para napakadali lang nilang ilaglag. Kasi kung tanga ka para gawin yung isang bagay na illegal at labag sa batas, sigurado ko, mas tanga ka para ipagtanggol mo yung sarili mo. Hindi mo kaya ipagtanggol sarili mo. Kasi inutusan ka ng mali, ginawa mo Ibig sabihin, bugok ka.
Zaldico will be the sangkalan. That every time that Zaldico made moves in the small committees, these moves were not without Martin's direction, order, and control. Because as Speaker of the House, he had supervision and control over all the committees, and including his representatives in the small committee, such as Zaldico as chair of the Appropriations Committee. And then he says, I'm not the mastermind. How could I have conspired? How can there be conspiracy? He says, when my participation is just in the passing of that appropriation budget. And after that, it went to the Senate. And after it passed, it is up to the executive, the DPWH, to implement it. I have nothing to do with the implementation. So how could I have conspired?
And certainly not when it becomes politically useful. If corruption were to occur in a magnitude made known to us over the past months, then it's clear that the real corruption does not happen at the level of the general legislative approval alone. It happens at the level of execution of the General Appropriations Act. It happens when projects are implemented. It happens where projects are actually implemented, where procurement is undertaken, where monetary disbursements are actually made. And it happens when substandard projects are passed off as legitimate or when ghost projects are made to appear real. That is why command responsibility is far more logically relevant in the executive branch, where there is actually supervision, operational control, and implementation on the ground, than in the collegial legislative body, where constitutional role is deliberation and appropriation. Congress does not build flood control projects. Congress does not conduct procurement. Congress does not inspect whether a project was actually completed. Congress does not certify whether the work done was substandard or not. So if the allegation is that there was a systemic corruption in flood control implementation, then the public should ask the obvious question: where does implementation actually happen? Definitely not in the session hall of the House of Representatives. Here's the simplest way to test that theory that I am the mastermind of this scheme. If I were truly involved in a fraudulent scheme of this nature, then the first place one would expect to see that pattern would be in my own district, in the projects most easily associated with me. You would have seen it in Tacloban, but I say this with absolute certainty. You won't see it in my district. My district has 0 ghost and 0 substandard flood control projects.
O, di ba? O, naglagay ba siya ng mga proyekto sa distrito niya na sablay? Yung bang mga yung bang mga tawag dito, yung bang mga ghost projects nasa kanya? Wala. O para hindi siya masisi. Para magamit niya tong pa-victim card na to na hindi ako magnanakaw. Kung magnanakaw ako, nakita nyo, wala akong flood control ghost project sa sa aking lugar. Wala akong ganito sa lugar. Wala. O, di ba? Yun yung ganyang katalino, yung mga kawatan na magpinsan na yan. Kaya nilang iaalis nila yung sarili nila dun sa korupsyon, pagagalawin nila yung ibang tao dun sa korupsyon. Tapos pag nagkahulihan at tinuro sila, sasabihin nila, wala kami dyan. Labas kami dyan. Ganon yan. Ganon din si Bongbong, di ba? O sino nagsasalita para sa kanya? Hindi ba? Si Claire Castro. Ano may nangyari dyan sa Senado? Anong ginawa ni Bongbong? O, labas ako dyan. Walang nag-utos, walang nagpapunta dyan, walang arrest warrant, o walang nagpapa-aresto kay Bato. Pero makikita mo, mga sumunod na araw, nag-i-statement na siya na si Bato, ganito, si Bato, ganyan. Sumagot sa batas, ganito, ganyan, wag magtago. Ganyan katalino yung mga yan pagdating sa pagnanakaw. Pero pagdating sa pagtulong sa kapwa Pilipino, sa pagpapaunlad ng bayang Pilipinas, putya, walang pakiyan. Ang gusto lang ng dalawang magpinsan na yan, paunlarin yung ekonomiya nila. Tinan mo, silang dalawa lang yung tumaas yung net worth. Silang dalawa lang tumaas ang net worth. Yung mga kababayan nila, mga Pilipino, constituents nila, probinsya nila, tumaas ang net worth.
Of course, his district has 0 ghost flood control and substandard projects. He's not stupid. He's very, very smart.
Ang pera ng bayan ay hindi para sa sarili, pakinabang ng ilan. Tungkulin natin bilang mga kinatawa na tiyakin ng bawat piso ay para sa unlad at kapakanan ng ating kababayan.
Parang grade 1, Kung magsalita, kala mo kinder. Putya, napakabobo na ito magpinsan na to. Pero ang galing pagdating sa kalokohan. Tinan mo, pag nag-i-speech na gano'n, mukhang mga tanga. Tinan mo si Bong mo, pag nag-i-speech mukhang tanga. Pero pagdating sa pagnanakaw, utang tatalino niyan. Ay, ko sa inyo, baka nag-seminar si Lupin III dyan sa mga yan.
What Saldico was saying is that this scheme of getting kickbacks from ghost flood control projects and substandard projects were designed by Martin Romualdez as the mastermind from the start when they were preparing the budget in the House of Representatives. Not after, during the implementation, but when they were preparing or before they even prepared the budget. Now remember, was it Congressman Leandro Leviste who came out and said, parang negosyo dyan sa loob. May mga congressman na nagbibenta dyan Nagbo-broker ng kanilang mga project funds. Tapos sila na lang kukuha ng kickback.
Ang mga politiko sa Batangas ay maaaring tumestigo at suportado sila ni Congressman Garjola, kompleto ang makinarya para gawing negosyo ang Batangas. Kaya baka hindi lang 1 bilyon ang nagastos na ni Garjola para sa mga rekto.
May mga project funds sa infrastructure, especially flood control, na bago pa napasok sa National Expenditure Program at pinadala sa House of Representatives, ay nakapasok na ang 30% na kickback. May contractor na. Kaya kita mo, lahat ng state witnesses nila, lahat taga DPWH. Kasi nga naman, indispensable nga naman ang DPWH officials doon. At syempre, rumakit din sila. Diba? Ang lagay, congressman lang ba ang kickback? Naraket din sila. Kaya natira na lang sa mga contractors 30% to spend for the project. So, obviously, mag-ghost talaga o magsasubstandard talaga yung projects. Dahil sa lahat na lang, kumuha na ng parte nila. And this scheme.
Ayun itong sinasabi niya, substandard. Ang usapan dito, ghost project. Ghost, ibig sabihin, wala talagang proyekto ni substandard, wala. Ghost talaga. Ganun ka magnanakaw yung mga yan.
Was done even before the NEP was sent to the House of Representatives. Doon pa lang sa DPWH. Hindi ba, Secretary Dizon discovered that?
Magkakaroon din po tayo ng sweeping reforms sa project management at project monitoring. Ito pong mga issue sa DUPA, ito pong mga issue sa paano ba nagsisimula ang pagpaplano ng proyekto at paano po ito napupunta sa budget at paano po ito ini-implement. Marami pong nagtatanong, meron po bang master plan para sa flood control ang DPWH? Unfortunately po, mukha po ang sagot po doon ay wala. Kailangan po natin magkaroon nun.
Pero obvious, di ba, na pinapatungan bago pa isubmit ang budget. Nandyan na yung patong ng contractors. Nandyan na rin yung patong ng 30% na kickback ng mga congressman. And that is what Zaldico said, na all of this, nandyan na yan. Ang role ko, ako ang kapitan, pero hindi ako mastermind, sabi niya. Ako yung nagkukumpas, pero si Martin ang may control. Yan ang sinasabi ni Zaldico. At yung mga kickback, galing sa contractor, dadaan sa DPWH, ahatid sa kay Zaldico. In fact, sinabi ng mga Marines na doon inahatid sa bahay ni Zaldico yung maleta-maleta.
Humigit kumulang 3 beses ako mismo ang nag-deliver ng basura sa bahay ni Congressman Zaldico, sa Horizon Resident at sa mga bahay ni Speaker Romualdez sa 42 Mackenzie Street, Taguig.
From there, hinahatid naman ngayon ng mga bodyguards ni Zaldico o siya mismo sa bahay ni Martin Romualdez. Napakalaking kickbackan. Hundreds of billions. Because the estimated Ghost Flood Control Projects funds was at 1.9 trillion. Napakalaking kickbackan. Napakaraming maleta na hindi na magkasya sa bahay ni Martin Romualdez sa McKinley, sa Forbes. That's when Zaldico said, Martin gave him an order na maghanap siya ng bahay na bibilhin. Gagawing, in the words of Zaldico, bagsakan ng basura. Basura, garbage, referring to all this kickback money.
Ang ibig sabihin ng basura ay malita na may lamang pera.
And so that's why the property of Magsaysay Ho is mentioned here by the Ombudsman in the complaint for plunder and violation of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Because yun ang bahay na pinili nila na magiging tambakan. At ang bumili ay ang kumpanyang under the control or shadow control of Martin Romualdez, na ang presidente ay ang kanyang close na brad na si Jose Paras, na binili nila at an estimated amount of 1.66 billion pesos.
See, kung paano nila tawag dito, hinuhugasan yung mga perang ninakaw nila. Nilalagay nila sa mga kakilala nila, brad nila, kamag-anak nila, malayong kaibigan nila. Cronyism, ganyan din ang ginawa ng Marcos Sr. At sigurado ko kung ginagawa ito ni Romualdez, at totoong nagnanakaw to si Romualdez tsaka to si Bongbong, ganyan ang ginagawa ng magpinsan na yan. Sa ngayon, nakafocus lang sila dito kay Romualdez. Itong nakikita ko ngayon, kalahati na rin tayo, nakafocus lang din kay Romualdez. Hindi pa hina-highlight yung kay Bongbong. Siguro, one at a time. Pwedeng ganun. Pwedeng si Marcos Jr., pag wala na siya sa pwesto, wala na siya sa kapangyarihan, baka doon nasisilipin yung mga ginawa niyang kahayupan sa bayang Pilipinas. But for now, para lang may mapanagot, dito muna tayo kay Martin Romualdez. Pwedeng ganun. Kasi nagtataka na talaga ako dito sa PGMN na to eh. Bakit si Martin lang na si Martin ang inaatake nila eh? Bakit hindi nila isinasama si Bongbong Marcos bilang siya ang pinuno eh. Kung sinisisi natin si Martin Romualdez o sinisisi natin si Zaldico, yung amo ni Zaldico, si Martin Romualdez, sino ba amo ni Martin Romualdez? Lang naman siya ang amo ni Bongbong. Si Bongbong ang presidente, di ba? Okay, yun yung part na nakakapagtaka.
Pinili ng kumpanya ni Paras yung Golden Pheasant. Ang sinasabi ng Ombudsman sa complaint, money laundering talaga. Kasi nakalagay na ang perang gagamitin to buy that property at 1.66 billion ay manggagaling sa advances ng stockholders. Pero si Paras, sinasabi ng Ombudsman, hindi pwedeng sa kanya personal manggaling yung pera kasi yung assets ni Paras ay mga 12 or 18 million lamang. 1.66 billion yung bahay na yun sa Tamarind Street. Yun ang sinasabi ni Zaldico, nagtutugmaan na ngayon. At sinabi ng mga former Marines na security ni Zaldico, yung lumabas na 18, na yun na nga, may hinahatid din silang mga maleta doon sa Tamarind Street na bahay. Yun yung tambakan ng basura. Kaya kung iisipin ng taong bayan, Bakit nga naman ba hindi tayo magagalit? Grabe. 1.66 billion pesos na bahay, ginawa lang nilang tambakan ng mga kickback nila. Can you imagine kung ilang bata na napaka-college natin dyan sa perang yan? Ilang classrooms na? Ilang pasyente na may butas ang puso dyan sa Philippine Heart Center ang napaoperahan? Ilang hospital na sana ang napaganda, napaayos sa perang yan at 1.66 billion? Kaya naman po, galit na galit ang taong bayan. Galit na galit kay Martin Romualdez. Ngayon, dinideflect ni Martin ang galit na yan kasi nagtago muna siya. Nagtago muna siya kasi siguro he was preparing to leave the country at siyempre nag-aayos-ayos siya ng kanyang mga kayamanan. Di ba? And true enough, sinabi niya na kailangan daw niya ng angioplasty sa Singapore. And so he asked permission. But the ombudsman blocked his travel. Hindi siya binigyan ng permiso to leave the country. Ang dami namang mga batikan dito, mga heart surgeon, mga gagaling na mga doktor dito. Bakit ka pa pupunta ng Singapore, Martin? At napaka-correct timing ka naman na talagang aalis ka nung alam mo na talagang lalabas na ang plunder case mo dahil in-announce na ni Ombudsman Boying Rimulya at i-freeze na yung assets mo. In fact, frozen nga ang mga assets niya ngayon. Di po ba? Kasi nga may Anti-Money Laundering Act na charge eh. Di ba? Frozen yung McKinley niya na bahay. May mga insurance siya. May mga 25 na bank accounts na frozen. But if you know Martin Romualdez, he's very smart. I'm sure na hindi naman yun lahat ng assets niya. Hindi po ba? And some people are actually asking if Yeda Romualdez is still in the country. But she's another story. Let's continue.
0. And that is verifiable. To prove this point, I'm authorizing my staff to share and release to the public the list of all the projects in my district that the authorities may deem attributable to me. Let the public scrutinize and verify for themselves. As I already mentioned, corruption of this scale is not a one-man operation. It requires two things: budget decisions and implementation on the ground. With respect to how the budget was deliberated in Congress, let me say this categorically. I was not a part of the BICAM and the small committee budget deliberations. Yes, I was updated on the general outcomes of the deliberations, but I had no visibility with regard to the specific details of the discussions, including particular amendments or insertions approved during these closed-door deliberations. Records would show that I did not participate in those meetings and I was not privy to what exactly transpired during the deliberations. However, two people were instrumental in making those budget decisions: Chis Escudero and Zaldico. And once the budget becomes law, the work of implementing flood control projects, or any project for that matter, is solely within the purview of the executive, including the DPWH, certainly not by legislators. I understand the anger of the public. The Filipino people have every right to be angry because stolen public funds are taxes derived from hard-earned money. I'm not asking the public to look away. I'm asking everyone to look where the evidence points, not where it is politically convenient or politically motivated. So I ask the Ombudsman and the public these questions. Who has been named in sworn testimonies and affidavits? Whose name actually appeared in credible accounts made under oath? If there are sworn accounts pointing to other personalities across the chain, whether in budget deliberations or in implementation, then those leads must be pursued with the same seriousness and the same urgency. Accountability cannot be selective. For months, I chose silence because I believe in our legal system and in the rule of law. But my silence is now being exploited with politically engineered and fabricated narratives. What's even more disturbing, and this is something that cannot be ignored, is that there are emerging indications that certain sectors are attempting to weaponize individuals, including Zaldico, to construct a narrative that serves their own interests. So when the legal processes is being used against me as a political demolition job, then I will have no choice but to defend myself.
Martin Romualdez attempts to make us believe that his participation in this anomalous budget, where there are hundreds of billions in unprogrammed funds that were used for ghost flood control projects and substandard projects, was limited to his being a speaker. He was not even in the small committee. And then, dinidiin niya si Chis Escudero. Sinasabi niya, si Chis Escudero ang may kagagawan nun, si Zaldico. Wala nga ako dun. But let us not forget, that was a very powerful speaker. Ang scope of power ni Martin Romualdez ay hindi lamang sa district niya, kundi sa buong House of Representatives na kahit nasabihin mo chair pa yan ng mga iba't ibang committee are still under his supervision and control. Sinasabi niya na, ito lang yung participation ko. But Martin, as a good lawyer and probably practiced criminal law, should know that the charge of the ombudsman here is conspiracy. And in conspiracy, the act of one is the act of all. And Saldico is saying that he was instructed by Martin to do this and do it this way.
Tinawagan ako ni dating Speaker Martin Romualdez at sinabihan, stay out of the country. You will be well taken care of as instructed by the President.
Not only to achieve this goal, but how to go about it. In fact, was so smart that he did not even appear in the small committee, which is normal. I mean, usually the speaker doesn't really go to the small committee. That's why dinidiin niya na si Chis Escudero lang at si Saldico ang gumawa niyan. But don't forget, mga kababayan ko, na conspiracy ito. The act of one is the act of all. At ang simula ng conspiracy na ito ay hindi naman dun lang sa pag-implement na ng DPWH kung saan nag-rig na sila ng mga bidding-bidding nila, kung hindi sa paggawa mismo ng budget niya yan sa Committee on Appropriations under the supervision and control of Martin Romualdez at by Saldico. Pinili niya yan si Saldico. Pinili niya yan for his own reasons dahil loyal niya lieutenant at marunong mambraso sa mga congressman at sa DPWH dahil dating ang kontraktor si Saldico. Marunong na siya dyan sa mga kickbackan na yan bago pa siya naging congressman. Itong ombudsman finally filed charges against Martin Romualdez. Pero sabi ni Martin, nilalabas daw niya yung kanyang mga papeles, ganyan. Well, wala naman tayo nakikita sa internet. But for sure, the ombudsman already released the complaint charging Romualdez with plunder kasi over 50 million ang mga kickback. Kasi nag-receive siya eh. Hindi pwedeng, wala naman ako doon sa bidding. Hindi ko naman alam kung sino yung mga kontraktor na yun nga na nanalo eh. Ang point sa plunder, na saan siya nag-participate, is from the beginning, alam niya na magkaka-kickback siya doon sa ghost flood control projects at substandard projects na yun. And he received. And that's why Saldi said he delivered. And Martin Romualdez received in his house. How can you even deny na hindi mo na-receive yan, Martin? Eh, bahay mo yun eh. Eh, nadidescribe pa nga ng mga bodyguard ni Saldico kung ano itsura ng bahay. Yun namang bahay sa Tamarin na bagsakan ng mga kickback. Yung mga katulong ay may statement na dumating si Saldico at sabi ni Saldico, ay kailangan na kayong umalis, yung occupant. Kasi ako ang contractor dito, renovate ko pa ito.
Pareho kayo na ina-identify nyo na siya mismo yung kaharap ninyo na sinasabing ang may-ari ng bahay, si Speaker Romualdez, at kailangang umalis na kayo?
Tama po yun. Tama po, sir.
Not Saldico, but Diskaya. Si Diskaya ang na-identify ng mga helpers. And hindi ba si Diskaya, yung mag-asawa, sinabi nga nila na nag-deliver sila ng mga kickback money at sinasabi ng mga DPWH na nag-receive na para yun sa taas. Ang pagkaintindi nila, para sa taas, para kay Martin Romualdez at sa mga DPWH na mga opisyales. Basahin natin ang conspiracy na allegation sa complaint of the Ombudsman in paragraph 112. The acts established by the evidence constitute both a combination and a series of predicate criminal acts under Republic Act number 7080, specifically Section 1, subsection D, subsection 2, which penalizes the receipt of any commission, gift, share, percentage, kickback, or any other form of pecuniary benefit in connection with any government contract or project, and B, Section 1, subsection D, subsection 6, which penalizes the taking of undue advantage of official position, authority, relationship, connection, or influence enrich oneself. Ko himself admitted that a monthly collection quota of approximately 2 billion was imposed on him in relation to these quote-unquote commitments. Grabe, no? May quota si Saldico ng monthly na 2 billion na kickback. Ganyan sila katindi. In particular, paragraph 112.4 co-stated that from 2022 to 2025, the aggregate amount of such collections reached approximately 55 to 56 billion pesos. 56 billion pesos. He further admitted that these funds were delivered to properties associated with Romualdez, particularly 42 McKinley, and 42 McKinley is listed under the name of both Martin and Yeda Romualdez according to tax declarations. Let's go back to Martin.
And I will defend myself fully. I will not allow myself to be turned into the scapegoat so that others who are actually accountable can walk away clean.
The scapegoat strikes back. This is when he now threatens to spill the beans on this administration, and I think this is what irked Ombudsman Boying Rimulya some more. I mean, all the more he is going to throw the books at him.
If this is a political play to push me out and close the story, tarnishing my name and my reputation, then I'm telling everyone now, I will not go quietly and I will not go alone. I will not be the fall guy for other people's corruption. I have been in public life long enough. I have seen enough. I have heard enough. I know many things about this current administration and past administrations as well.
Martin is saying, marami akong alam. Aba, laglagan na talagang tunay ito. Sinasabi niya, I'm not going to be the fall guy. Ayan. I'm not going to be the scapegoat. Sabi niya, I will not go alone. Kung tatamaan ako, lalaban ako. Sabi niya, I will fight. Sabi niya. At I will not go alone. Ibig niya sabihin, I will take you with me. Yan ang ibig niya sabihin. At mukhang nangangayayat na nga si Martin Romualdez. Saan kaya niya vinidyo ito? Yan ang mga tanong po ng ibang tao eh. Sure ba tayo na hindi yan nakalabas? Kasi videotaped statement bago lumabas yung complaint ng ombudsman.
And I say this carefully. If this matter is to be handled as a legal issue, then let it be handled legally, soberly, and according to evidence. But if certain people insist on waging this in the court of public opinion, then I will have no choice but to defend myself publicly as well. To the Ombudsman, I say this with full respect. If your office truly believes in justice, then follow the sworn statements, follow the records, and follow the evidence all the way. Do not stop where it is politically convenient. Do not settle for the easiest headline. Do not confuse public pressure with prosecutorial duty. What I ask of the office of the Ombudsman is simple. Follow the rule of law and due process. This is a serious matter, and it should be handled with seriousness, not with haste, theatrics, or shortcuts. I am ready and willing to respond to every allegation in the proper forum, through the proper pleadings, motions, and submissions that the law allows. And to those who think they can throw me under the bus to save themselves, this is what I have to say to you. I am ready to defend my name. My silence should not be mistaken for weakness, ignorance, or fear. I know enough to defend myself, and if I am forced to do so in public, I will. Maraming salamat po.
Martin Romualdez is now saying that this is a political persecution and that he should be afforded due process. I can hear somebody saying, look who's talking. Look who's talking about due process. Look who's talking about rule of law. Look who's talking about political persecution and convenience. This is a fight where Martin Romualdez is not sure he's going to win. After all, he is going to be the accused here. The ombudsman has the upper hand. And we have an ombudsman who is not only a constitutional officer, but who has the support of the appointing power and whose brother may likely be the presidential candidate in 2028. So here we see the fall of Martin Romualdez in a span of what? He quit in September 2025 and now it's 2026. In less than a year, Martin Romualdez finds himself not only in a defensive position, but anticipating that all the might and all the power of the government through the ombudsman is going to rain on him. And with plunder being a non-bailable offense, Martin Romualdez must be really, really scared now. Well, how's that for a change? Let's see what happens next. When the case is investigated, he is given due process. He will answer, file his counter affidavits, and I have no doubt that the ombudsman will indict him for plunder, graft, indirect bribery, in violation of the Anti-Money Laundering Act.
Yon, alam nyo, palakpakan muna natin si ano. Palakpakan muna natin si Rowena Guanzon. Nagustuhan nyo ba yung ano na yan, yung kanyang PGMN special? Well, ako lang, magre-react lang ako ng mabilis na mabilis. Mukhang nagawa itong video na ito siguro a few days after yung video revelations or video kakupalan neto ni Martin Romualdez. And siguro mga bossing, hindi ko alam kung bakit ngayon lang nila nilabas to, pero ang alam ko nagkaroon ng ang alam ko baka huling episode na to ni Madam Rowena Guanzon, kasi kung hindi ako nagkakamali, I think I've heard na disappointed siya sa PGMN kasi nga kapag daw kakwentuhan nila yung may-aring si Franco Mabanta, all out daw siya sa pagkukwento, sa mag-asawa, kasi close na close ni Franco Mabanta yan, mag-asawang Marcos, pagdating sa mga, alam mo yun, mga galawan, bisyo and all. Panay daw ang kwento. Pero kapag yung pagdating na dito, pagka yung trabaho na, wala na. Wala na, ayaw mag-commit. So, hindi ko alam kung during this time is may instruction ba kay Attorney Guanzon na focus lang tayo doon sa sa video na ginawa ni Martin Romualdez. Lang tayo ron, react lang tayo doon. Wag nang pumunta beyond that para hindi malito. Di ko alam kung nabola nila si Attorney Bing Guanzon, because ako alam ko ito sa Attorney Bing Guanzon, hindi mo to mapapatahimik kung anong gusto sabihin to, sasabihin nito eh. But I understand na si Martin Romualdez man ang topic, ang target nila, ang nagsalita lang naman si Martin Romualdez, yung ibang mga sinali ni Martin Romualdez na mga pangalan is siguro we can discuss that sa ibang panahon, siguro ganun ang dating kay Bing Guanzon, kaya nakafocus lang siya dito kay Martin. And ang title kasi nito is The Rise and Fall of Martin Romualdez. So, kaya ganun. But I'm still hoping na makarebound, makabawi itong PGMN, and gumawa din sila ng special patungkol naman kay Bongbong Marcos. Because if, ilan na to CJ Hero, yung kay Franco Mabanta nagtataka nga ako bakit ngayon lang nila inilabas ito. Mas maganda to mas maganda tong presentation na ito ni Attorney Guanzon kaysa dun sa presentation ng dalawa ni Franco at saka ni CJ Hero. Para lang sa akin kasi yung kay CJ Hero alaman na natin yun eh. So itong yung mga sinasabi niya doon, although mas naging detalyado, so good job doon, pero nothing new. Dito naman kay Bing Guanzon, naintindihan ko na matagal na itong ginawa. Tataka lang ako bakit ngayon lang nilabas ng PGMN. Ewan ko kung baka may balak ba talaga silang ilabas yan o wala. Pero inilabas na rin nila kasi nga lately tinitira nila si Martin Romualdez, kalaban nila si Martin Romualdez, di ba? So hindi ako sure. Siguro tanungin ko si Attorney Guanzon dito kung bakit na late itong kanyang reaction na to, kasi parang sa napapansin ko din medyo panis na itong itong issue na ito, dahil hanggang ngayon hindi pa man nakakasuhan si Martin Romualdez, hanggang ngayon hindi pa man siya nakukulong, hanggang ngayon hindi naman na siya ulit tumutunog. So ewan natin kung anong mga mangyayari dito, and hindi rin natin alam kung ano ang purpose or reason bakit ngayon lang inilabas itong video na to. But then again, deserve nitong video na to yung ating reaction. So yun ang reaction natin. Napakaganda ng presentation, maganda yung pagkaka sunod-sunod, himay-himay, pero kulang, bitin. Kasi nakafocus lang din talaga sa isang tao. So I'm convinced. Nung mga nakaraan, I'm still giving PGMN the benefit of the doubt. But now I am a little bit convinced na talagang ang target nila si Martin Romualdez lang. Si Bongbong Marcos, wala. Mukhang talaga. Mukhang itong si Franco ay mukhang operator talaga to ni Bongbong. Naniniwala naman tayo, kaibigan naman ni Bongbong. Siya rin naman nagsabi, kaibigan, may mga picture naman sila niyan. Let's just say na medyo duda tayo na para talagang pinoprotektahan nitong PGMN, itong si Bongbong Marcos, at isinisisi ang lahat ng kasalanan dito kay Martin Romualdez. But then again, better that than wala. 'di ba? At least kahit papaano, itong Martin Romualdez, alam naman natin pagka itong Martin Romualdez nakulong, sigurado tayo may susunod mas mataas pa diyan. Oh, and if we're not gonna get it during this administration, hopefully next administration makita natin pucha kung papaano nila binaboy ang bayang Pilipinas. Ganun din, sana mababoy ang kanilang mga pagkatao. Mabuhay ang bayang Pilipinas. Kung nagustuhan mo itong vlog na ito, like, share, subscribe kayo at follow sa lahat ng ating mga social media accounts. At mga bossing, pagka nakakaluwag-luwag ka, super thanks ka naman. Maraming salamat, mabuhay ang bayang Pilipinas. Kita-kits tayo ulit sa susunod na vlog.
Kami ang boses ng masa, hindi natatakot. Katotohanan lang, di kami nalulunod. Walang bahid ng sismis, lahat ay totoo. Kahit sino ka pa, pag mali ka babanatan ka. Walang pinipili kulay, wala kaming kinikilingan. Basta para sa bayan, kami lalaban. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali banatan. Di matitinag, di matatakot, para sa bayan tuloy ang sigaw. Sa harap ng kamera, walang halong takot. Mga baluktot, lahat kayo'y tutumba. Ang hustisya at totoo, yun lang ang mahalaga. Kahit sinong harang, di kami matitinag. Walang pinipiling kulay, wala kaming kinikilingan. Basta para sa bayan, kami lalaban. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali banatan. Di matitinag, di matatakot, para sa bayan tuloy ang sigaw. Kung nasa tama ka, ikaw ay aming kasama. Pero pag mali ka, handa ka na bang mabasag? Banateros kami, walang inuurungan. Dahil bayan muna, bago ang sarili. Bago ang sarili. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali banatan. Banateros ang sigaw, katotohanan ang laban. Sa